What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And guys, look, I'm excited because I've got an Arrow Video 4K release, 4K double pack release to talk about today. It's not even out yet. It comes out on August the 13th, and that is the When Titans Rule the Earth 4K box set. This includes the films Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans from 2010 and 2012. So before you even ask, it's not the 1981 classic Clash of the Titans that's in here. Everybody kind of thought that's what it was. They kind of assumed that's what it was when Arrow first announced this, but that is not what this is. This is the 2010 remake and also the 2012 sequel, which is not, I don't believe, based on any pre-existing material. They just kind of spun off a sequel and made a sequel because the first one did really well at the box office. But I'm excited to talk about these because I don't feel like I gave these films a fair chance when they came out. I saw Clash of the Titans. I never saw Wrath of the Titans. I just didn't have any interest. So watching these films with a fresh, more grown-up pair of eyes opened my eyes to some things. So I'm excited to get into it. We're also going to talk about the 4K transfer. We're going to talk about the sound, do an unboxing of this really nice box set. Like, this is really a clean box set from Arrow Video, so I'm excited to get into that. Before we get into it, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media. I'm sorry, I got to keep pointing my finger like that. We talk about physical media on this channel, Blu-rays, 4Ks, owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day. If you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. And then comment down below, guys, what do you think about these two movies? Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans, 2010, 2012. What are your thoughts? Are you disappointed that it wasn't the 1981 Clash of the Titans? Let me know that in the comment section below. Like I said, guys, this does release on August the 13th at a price point of $37.99, which is not a bad price at all for two movies. So I do want to point that out. I will have that linked down below in the description if you guys want to get this based on whether or not I recommend it here today. So, all right, let's talk about Clash of the Titans first from 2010. Now, I am a pretty big fan of the original Clash of the Titans. I haven't seen it in quite some time, but I grew up with this film. I remember watching that film and Jason and the Argonauts when I was a kid. Medusa, like, freaked me out when I was a kid. Like, that was pure nightmare fuel to me. But I remember loving that movie. I watched it all the time. So when the remake came out, I don't know if I was necessarily excited to see it or not. I don't even know if I saw it in the theaters. I probably just waited till it came to home video. 2010, I'm trying to picture myself around this time. I was pretty disinterested in movies and just the state of film at that time. That's when Transformers were like huge. I was not a huge fan of what movies were doing at that time. I was still watching movies. I was still watching new movies. There were definitely good movies that came out. But I wasn't super into film in 2009, 2010 like I am now. What I was obsessed with around that time were video games. And specifically, I love the God of War franchise. Played God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3. So when I'm watching this movie like through that lens, it kind of made this a little bit cooler of an experience. And I imagine I watched Clash of the Titans back in 2010, probably just playing God of War 3, because I think God of War 3 actually came out in 2010, maybe around the same time that Clash of the Titans came out in the theaters, which is actually pretty interesting. So I probably just snubbed my nose up at Clash of the Titans. I was like, God of War, that's the definitive like Greek mythology story. So that was definitely working against it when I watched it back in 2010. Now I've got those fresh set of eyes. I'm not looking at it through that lens anymore. I'm looking at it more so through like a Game of Thrones lens. Like, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, and this came out in 2010. Game of Thrones, I think, started in 2011. So this movie kind of felt, and there's actors in this from Game of Thrones. I think the Hound is in this film, and I know Sir Davos from Bravos is in this movie. So having those actors in this film just kind of made it feel a little bit more Game of Thrones-like, and the fact that it was like an open world kind of thing where they were traveling to different locations and stuff. It just felt a lot like Game of Thrones. It reminded me of that when I was watching it. Now, some of the CGI, which we'll talk about here in a second, it doesn't age well. I think the movie would have done a lot better, would have aged a lot better had they had not utilized all that CGI at that time. Some of the stuff is pretty goofy and will take you out of it immediately. Another thing to talk about with this movie is it came out, and also the actor in the film, Sam Worthington, was in Avatar, but it came out like 3 or 4 months after the first Avatar movie came out. So it was trying to capitalize off of that 3D, but it wasn't filmed in 3D. Like, it wasn't made for 3D. So A lot of people felt like they kind of shoehorned that 3D in, and it was kind of a gimmick with this film. So a lot of people criticized this movie because of the 3D and the fact that it was kind of crap. As for the movie itself, I'm not watching it in 3D. I didn't get into the whole 3D craze. Like, I didn't watch movies in 3D in the theater. I don't buy 3D Blu-rays. I don't get into any of that stuff. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of 3D at all. I know a lot of people out there are. But just watching the movie itself, I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, it just reminded me of Game of Thrones, had a lot of Game of Thrones actors, a lot of good actors. Nicholas Hoult in this movie. And this would have been like the year before X-Men First Class, and his career started taking off. But you got Mads Mikkelsen in this film. You got Liam Neeson, of course, who is a spectacular actor. Ralph Fiennes, I think is how you pronounce his name, who plays Voldemort and Harry Potter's in the film. Sam Worthington, look, he was in Avatar, and they talked about in the special features how his career was really like popping off at this time, and it just like grew so fast, so quick. I think he's good. I think he's a good actor. I know he never made it to that next level, and he died out pretty quickly as far as a big time actor, but I think he's good in this role. I actually think he's really good as the character of Perseus. And like I said, Nicholas Hoult, Davos from Bravos, good cast. I enjoy the cast in this movie. They really bring a lot of gravitas to their roles, playing these Greek gods. Liam Neeson, of course, is playing Zeus. Ralph Fiennes is playing Hades. So really good cast. I think Danny Houston is playing Poseidon. So really good cast of people that are playing the gods, and I think they just fit those roles. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, except for the effects. The effects, like I said, kind of took me out of it a little bit. The Medusa scene from the original, to me, in my mind, is just so iconic that when you get to Medusa in this movie, it almost kills it for me, because I hate the CG, how she's slithering everywhere. It's just not scary at all. The first one's like chilling. Like, they walk in there, see Medusa, she starts turning people to stone. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Made me afraid of Medusa for life. Wrath of the Titans from 2012 actually changed directors, not directed by the same director. This is directed by Jonathan Liebsman, who also did Battle Los Angeles, which I've never seen. But I actually really dug this sequel. I would say that it was on par with the first one for me personally. And this one, I think, got a way lower review score from the critics. And I honestly don't really know why, because I thought it was pretty cool. I like Kronos. The character Kronos was in God of War 3. Kronos is badass in this movie. I thought he looked great. Just visually, Kronos looked great. Like the end when you see Kronos in the distance and he's throwing lava and stuff at everybody. I thought that was super cool. And the effects in this one, I think, were a step up from Clash of the Titans for sure. So I'm not going to say it's a better movie, but I do think visually there's more going on, more to enjoy with this one than there is Clash of the Titans. So I really enjoyed Wrath of the Titans. I like the story, how the gods were losing their powers, and Hades and Ares were working together to take down Zeus and use his powers to power up Kronos. Like, it was a cool story. And Sam Worthington's back as Perseus. I think he's really good in this movie, just like he was in the first one. But I really like the addition of Rosamund Pike. And she actually came in to replace a character from the first one, Princess Andromeda. Which they kind of explained it in the special features, but they brought in Rosamund Pike because she just kind of fit that mold, badass warrior chick, better than the first girl did. But in the first movie, Clash of the Titans, they didn't require that out of her, so they didn't really need that. I don't guess they were thinking about that, needing that for the sequel. But Rosamund Pike is excellent. She has great chemistry with Sam Worthington. You have Toby Kebbell in here as well, which I always enjoy Toby Kebbell. He mostly does mocap work, like he's in the Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones. And some other stuff, but I enjoy him when he actually gets to act in movies, and I thought he was really good here as well. And you bring back Liam Neeson and also Ralph Fiennes, and it's pretty much the same cast of gods that come back to this one, but I really enjoy this one. I thought this one was a really solid sequel for sure, and like I said, Kronos is an awesome villain and it just looks great visually. The only thing I can say is maybe why it was so poorly received is it does get a little bit sappy with the story, like in particular, like towards the end with Perseus and Zeus, and it's like they're trying to build in this like love between the two of them. And it's like, you guys have never loved each other. Your whole relationship is built on hatred, but they're trying to shoehorn this like loving relationship towards the end. I don't think that necessarily fits, but other than that, like, I think it's a really good, fun action adventure movie and a really good sequel to Clash of the Titans. So I enjoyed both the movies. I thought they were both really good. They held my attention. They have good pacing. They're shorter, which is nice. They're both like an hour and 40 minutes. And for these types of movies, like it would be so easy for them nowadays to make them like 2.5 to 3 hours. But, you know, nice short hour, 40 minutes, you're in, you're out. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time with both of these films. Now, getting into the 4K transfer here, guys. I know I spent way too much time talking about the movies, but I like talking about the movies, guys. The 4K transfer, this is an upscaled 4K on both of these, Dolby Vision, HDR. I thought it looked great. I thought both of these looked really good. Now, I don't have the Blu-rays. I've never had the Blu-rays. I've never had the DVDs. This set right here does not come with the Blu-rays, only comes with the 4Ks. So I can't speak to how these looked on Blu-ray. Now, I do know that they both had 3D Blu-rays, and the 4Ks here do not have 3D. You cannot utilize 3D on these 4Ks. It was just for the Blu-rays back in the day, but like I said, the 3D was a gimmick. They just kind of shoehorned that in last minute to compete with Avatar or try to be like Avatar, so I don't really think the 3D is necessary for these, but there may be some people that's upset they didn't try to port over those 3D Blu-rays into this release. But like I said, I thought both of these 4Ks looked really great. I actually think Wrath of the Titans edged out Clash just a little bit because Clash has really dated CGI and the 4K doesn't do that any favors at all, whereas Wrath, I think, is a little bit more cleaner. And yes, it has CGI as well, but I think the CGI in Wrath of the Titans is a lot better done and utilized than it is in Clash of the Titans. But they looked great, phenomenal. I imagine the Blu-rays are probably a little bit flatter as far as the coloring, a little bit more muted color-wise, whereas the HDR really just intensifies those colors, makes them a lot more vibrant in this film. And there's a lot of great colors. There's a lot of great scenery. There's a lot of great settings in this film. It's a huge, massive, like open world setting, and I thought all of it just looked great. Really crisp, really clean visually for sure. But getting into the sound, guys, and this is where people are not going to be happy with what was done here, but they did no audio upgrades whatsoever. It's still the 5.1 DTS HD Master Audio. I really think this could have benefited from a Dolby Atmos for sure. Like, these movies are big and they're grand and they're loud and there's a lot of great action set piece moments. So I think the Atmos would have been warranted. I'm sure Arrow had their reasons, but I really don't know why. Maybe it was a problem. Maybe they couldn't do it. Maybe they couldn't get it done. I don't know. I really don't know why there's not an Atmos here. I really think that these two movies in particular really warranted that audio upgrade. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of disappointment surrounding that. Now, the 5.1 I think sounded really good. I had no issues. I've just got a sound bar with a subwoofer, but it was thumping and bumping. Like the scenes with, the Kraken, release the Kraken. I haven't even said that in the video. But Kronos as well. Like, there's some really great spectacle sequences in both of these movies. And I thought it sounded great. But again, I know those big audio heads, those audio files that have those full setups are going to be disappointed in that lack of Atmos. So I certainly have to talk about that real quick here. But let's go ahead and get into an unboxing, guys. I already unboxed this in a short, but I'll kind of show you the front and I'll show you the back right there. Kind of zoom in. And what I can tell you about this box set is it's pretty comparable to the Conan Chronicles box set that came out earlier this year. I think it might be a little bit thinner than that box set, but it's got a nice slip cover on it, which I do enjoy. I love this new trend of Arrow Video putting slip covers on their box sets. That's the next evolution, guys. We have box sets. Now we have slip covers on our box sets. Can you believe it? But a really nice artwork. The artwork on here is just fantastic. Flip it to the back, and if only Medusa looked that good in the actual film. But some really great images. Like, there's a lot of great monsters, guys, in these movies. If you love Greek mythology and stuff like that, I think that you'll enjoy these movies on some level. Even if you don't think the plot and the acting and the characters are necessarily the most interesting, you'll enjoy the films. But inside, guys, we have two 4K cases, which I definitely enjoy. I like having both of those separate 4K cases instead of having them both like squeezed into one pack. But we have the Clash of the Titans case right there that has all the information on the back. Now, it does say right here, guys, very specifically, not to be sold separately. So I think this is a package deal. So I would not expect Arrow Video to release individual versions of either one of these like they did the Conan sets. So I think that these are probably going to be packaged together as long as Arrow Video has the rights to them. I do not see them releasing individual releases unless maybe they get the okay from Warner Brothers. But as of right now, we've just got this double pack, front, back, Open it up right there. You got some nice disc art, some sweet disc art. You got some cool art cards in here as well. And I think that both of these have little mini posters, which are really cool. Not full posters, but little mini posters with the original artwork, poster artwork, and then the new artwork. You can flip it, and you have the original poster right there with him holding Medusa's head, which is really awesome. That is a great sequence at the end of that movie with him holding her head and the Kraken. The head looked better than Medusa when she was alive, I will say that. But we have Wrath of the Titans. I'm really, shitting on Medusa in this review, but that is really the stain on these movies to me is the Medusa sequence. Wrath of the Titans right there. Really great image of Kronos right there. Flip it to the back. Boom, boom, boom. Open this up. You got some nice disc art, and the same on the inside. You got some cool art cards, and then a little poster with the artwork on it. So good stuff. And lastly, you have a booklet on the inside. Really cool booklets with a lot of good information on the films inside. So that is really cool as well. And I almost forgot, but the Wrath of the Titans also has reversible cover arts. I got to give you the full tour, guys. Bam. Look at that. Look at that. Sam Worthington with hair. No hair. Hair for Sam Worthington. Now, getting into the special features, guys, you have one new interview with the producer on both of these discs. So you have one with him talking about Clash, and you have one with him talking about Wrath. There are no audio commentaries at all. I guess they didn't do one back in the day, and there is no new audio commentaries. So special features, a little disappointing. I thought they could have done more. Now, they have all the archival stuff there for sure. But what I will say, and that's a lot of stuff, guys, a lot of archival stuff. But I will say the new interviews with the producer are really good. Like, he really digs into what made these movies work, why he thinks that, certain things about them failed critically, financially. So it's a very honest, candid interview with him. And I thought it was really, really good. Both times, both on Wrath and Clash, I thought he was excellent in the interviews. And they're pretty lengthy. They're about, I think they're like 14 to 17 minutes on both of them, but really good interviews. So that's like 30, minutes of new material here. So it's solid. It's solid. I'm glad we got something new, but I think they could have done a little bit more. But in closing, guys, even with the light amount of special features, the lack of Dolby Atmos, I still think this is worth it for $37.99. It's a really nice box set. You got 2 movies in this set on 4K, separate cases. They both look excellent. I think they're both really solid adventure films from the early 2010s. So I can recommend this set if you like these films, if you like these kind of films. But even if you haven't seen these films, if you just have an interest in them, I still think they're pretty solid. I think they're both really solid films, and I could recommend them to people. So I like this box set. I think it's worth it. It's a recommendation from me. Like I said, I will have it linked down below. $37.99 right now, guys. Maybe jump on it right now, because if you don't, it might shoot up in the coming weeks. We know how Amazon is working these days, guys, and I don't even know what this is going for on the actual Arrow Video website. But thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on bell notifications for all future videos, and I'll see you next time.